The report of the Director and the Deputy Director of Strategic Initiatives and Services dated July 18th with respect to Flicka Gymnastics relocation next steps. Recommendation is that staff be directed to assist Flicka Gymnastics with their design development for reuse of the Mickey McDougall building. The staff be authorized to negotiate into legal agreements with Flicka for use of the Mickey McDougall Community Recreation Center building. The staff report back for authorization to enter into legal agreements with Flicka for the use of the Mickey McDougall building, and that funding for the building's capital maintenance related to the extended use of the Mickey McDougall building be referred to the 2020 project plan process.
Councillor Clark. Councillor Booker.
Second.
Councillor. Okay. So I see no further. I do have a point I would like to make on this. We're buying everything for everybody. Why does Flicka have to pay the $1.8 million? They have at least 1,000 members that are kids. Why do we not include the Flicka in the cost of this? Ms. Pierce, I see you, or whoever would like to have that.
Your Worship, and I will ask Ms. Turner to intervene if I get things wrong. Flicka is a tenant of the North Van Recreation Commission and is not a program offered through the Recreation Commission. So they've been a tenant for 20 years approximately. They do receive some subsidized rent, but they are responsible for their operating costs, and they operate somewhat differently than some of the other nonprofit organizations that are being supported through this program.
I get that. So, but the lawn bowlers are outside of this as well. Why are we building them a lawn bowling facility? They have a club, I think significantly less numbers of members, older people. Why are we building them a big facility? Why are we not asking them to pay for their facility? And we're asking Flicka to.
Your Worship, we have put forward a proposal for council. If council wished to provide some different direction, that would be fine. We have tried to maintain the existing relationship that we currently hold with Flicka, which is to provide a tenancy agreement as opposed to building a new facility.
I have no trouble with that. I'm going to make an amendment that we add the $1.8 million and we do the renovations. If this is the way we're going to go, everybody's getting it. I think it's only fair that Flicka gets it as well. They've got that many second. So that's the amendment. Councillor Keating and then Councillor Bell. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Your Worship, I think it's entirely appropriate. I think Flicka is every bit as important a partner as any other partner there. I do have a concern about sort of, some of the ways in which things have been playing out. I do notice buried in one of the reports, there's some talk that there may have to be limited hours of use of the skate park, which is currently not the system. I'll certainly, come September, I'll be asking for a motion. I'll bring forward a motion that we put a covenant on the Darwin site, which would prohibit anybody in the building complaining about the use of skateboard park after hours, because that's the current hours of use for the current skate park. So I don't think that should go forward, but I think we do need to make sure that this is an even and balanced system here. So I think Flicka should get the same amount of money as, or they should be qualified for city funding along with everybody else.
So I'm going to go to Councillor Bell and put him next. Add his bed. Bell. Oops, grant the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. My understanding in response to your question, Your Worship, about the difference between Flicka and the Lawn Bowling Club is the Lawn Bowling Club has a facility there. They've had it since, I don't know, 1916 or 1920 or something, but it's been a long time. The project, the Harry Jerome project, is going to benefit by the virtue of that we're going to take that land and lease that land, and I think the lawn bowling, I can't remember if the cost is, Ms. Pierce, but the value of the land versus what it actually costs us, is it $10 million to create the lawn bowling club or $5 million? I'm trying to remember.
Your Worship, the value of the land in our deal with Darwin is over $40 million, whereas the construction of a new lawn bowling facility is approximately 6.5.
So we end up with a net gain by virtue of moving the lawn bowling club, a substantial gain. And in the case of Flicka, Flicka is a tenant and there's no financial benefit to the city by virtue of moving them. We're accommodating them in a facility that is a public facility, and they indicated from the beginning that they had the funds and that they are a private operation and they wish to be located there and that they would contribute towards it. So I think there's a significant difference between the two, Your Worship.
Well, there's a shortfall, but, okay. Councillor Clark next.
Yes, there's the rub. Flicka came to us very early in the process and said, we have these funds, we would like to renovate Mickey McDougall, and that's why we're talking that way. So, no apologies.
Okay, Councillor Bellews, Councillor Buchanan is next.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. So if I'm reading this correctly, we're actually under Mickey McDougall.
Councillor Buchanan, sorry, I have to apologize. We have to move to have a motion go past 10:31. Any discussion? All in favor, opposed, carried. We changed a little.
Are we, through Your Worship to staff, we're building underground parking as well?
Your Worship, no, that's not in this proposal that you see before you. This is to have some minor tenant improvements as well as some building life cycles. Sorry, Robert, do you want to take that one?
So through the feasibilities, or through Your Worship, through the feasibility process, we looked at many different options, and one of them was to add an addition to the front of Mickey McDougall, which may have included underground parking. But the simple repurpose option that doesn't actually change the envelope of the building has been selected to move forward with. We are, early on in negotiations with Flicka and the city. It's staff's opinion, and we need to bring it forward to council for further discussion, that it'd be appropriate for us to continue with the life cycle replacement of heating systems, envelope repairs, roofing, that type of item.
Okay.
And Flicka has indicated that their preference is actually to become a capacity operator and actually look after the full operations of the building.
Okay, and further through Your Worship to staff, what is the transportation and parking assessment, and what are the traffic demand management that's been put in place for both Flicka and Lawn Bowling?
Through Your Worship, the transportation, because it is a similar use as to what's existing, the overall impact for having both Lawn Bowling and Flicka to the Mickey McDougall site is relatively minor. There is on-street parking all the way around. In order to offset any additional parking demand, there has been an accommodation of an additional 20 stalls on site. And that also includes a drop-off zone. A lot of the Flicka use is drop-off, so that will be internalized to the site.
So has that been a conversation that's occurred with the community as well, in terms of the impact that would have on neighboring communities and what they can do to mitigate?
Through Your Worship, when we had an information session a number of months ago, we did bring two scenarios out, and we did hear from the community just in terms of what the impact and traffic and access was one of them, and that's where the surface parking internal to the site was accommodated with the drop-off zone.
Okay, so I just moving forward, just in terms of the sense that that area is also along our green necklace. So in terms of, it's also a provincial courthouse, it's also a church. So I think if we're going to now have volumes of traffic that originally came to the Harry Jerome complex, and Lawn Bowling had its own parking per se, which will now be moving up several blocks next to a multi-use path, etc., then I would like to see some consideration of traffic calming and mitigation around for that particular neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. I have Councillor Batten and Councillor Booker.
Thank you. Why are we asking these questions now? I kind of feel like we should have asked them about 2 years ago. Flicka came to council and said, we've got $1 million and we want to put that towards the Mickey McDougall gym, and we were all very happy and said, great, we'll move forward with that. They're also a private business, so they're quite different, I think, than some of the
They're
other.
a non-profit society.
Sorry?
They're a non-profit society.
Well, I can question nonprofit societies too, but I won't at this point. They're basically a business on their own, and they're doing very well. So I say they came to us with the money. But I've also questioned previously, why isn't Lawn Bowling paying anything? Have we ever asked them to come forward with money?
So these are rhetorical questions, or would you like a response to that?
Well, have we ever asked them to?
Ms. Pierce?
Your worship, we have not formally asked Mont Bowling to contribute to the new facility. We have asked them to help with some of the enhancements that they would like to see in the new facility.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bookham?
I agree with Councillor Bach's position with respect to Flicka. I do feel that if they are offering money in order to ensure their place in the new Harry Jerome precinct, then we would be foolish not to take it. So I'm not quite sure procedurally what happened, whether you inserted that as an amendment to this motion or whether this is separate. So
We're going to
just
vote on the amendment.
be clear when we vote,
Yeah,
please.
that will. So we're going to vote on that amendment, which is to add the $1.8 million to the budget, and then we'll deal with the motion however it turns out. So looking at the time, I'm going to do it right now. So I'm going to call question on the amendment. All those in favor? Vote was requested, please, Mr. Mayor. So this is to add the $1.8 million.
Right, to the budget.
So you're going to vote against it, if you guys want to know. Or you want, well,
Just want to know what the amendment was there, sorry.
add $1.8 million.
Okay, thank you,
To
Just
Flicka.
wanted to clarify that, yeah,
I'm not going to speak again. I can tell you why they need it, but I'm not going to, because I'm looking at our time and we got a lot to do.
okay.
Okay. We will start with Councillor Bach.
Nay.
Councillor Clark.
Nay.
Councillor Bell.
Nay.
Councillor Keating.
Yeah.
Councillor Bookham.
Nay.
Councillor Buchanan.
Yay.
Mayor Masato.
Yay.
It's defeated 4-3.
Thank you. Now we just have the main motion that's on the agenda.
Yes,
Yes. And do we have a mover second, or we do?
yes.
So the main motion that's on the agenda, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Councillor Keating and Councillor Buchanan opposed. Next item, we got a lot of closed session stuff we